the fifth.
This morning, new video showing Jeffrey Epstein's convicted co-conspirator Ghislaine Maxwell refusing to answer questions from lawmakers, pleading the fifth.
I invoke my Fifth Amendment right to silence.
Maxwell appearing virtually before the House Oversight Committee from a Texas prison, where she's serving a 20-year sentence for trafficking minors to Epstein.
Have you ever facilitated the sexual abuse of any minor or adult woman by Mr. Epstein?
I invoke my Fifth Amendment right to silence.
Dude, it's like you're currently in prison for that. Like, I don't understand. Look, I'm not a lawyer. I know there's some lawyers in the chat. Maybe you guys can like help me with this. But isn't she already in prison for that? like it's like asking Ted Bundy if he actually killed people. Like, what do you mean? What do you mean? Hasn't she already answered these questions? Yes, and she already was found. She already had perjured herself. Okay? She had already perjured herself in court. She lied in court, okay? When she was answering these questions, she lied in court. And the only reason why they dropped the perjury charges is because they had already hit her with the fucking with the other stuff anyway. They had already successfully prosecuted her for committing the crimes in general. She will only speak if Trump gives her clemency, her lawyer said. Oh my God. Ghislaine Maxwell's lawyer says his client will only speak if Trump grants her clemency. Ghislaine Maxwell invoked her constitutional right to silence this morning before Representative James Comer and the House Oversight Committee. Here's the statement I gave to the committee explaining why. Members of the committee, on my advice, Ghislaine Maxwell will respectfully invoke her Fifth Amendment right to silence and decline to answer questions today, even though she would very much like to answer your questions. If this committee and the American public truly want to hear the unfiltered truth about what happened, there's a straightforward path. Ms. Maxwell is prepared to speak fully and honestly if granted clemency by President Trump. Only she can provide the complete account. Some may not like what they hear, but the truth matters. For example, both President Trump and President Clinton are innocent of any wrongdoing. Ms. Maxwell alone can explain why, and the public is entitled to that explanation. Oh my God. Oh my God. We are led by a nation of charlatans. It's coming. I need you guys to understand. I need you guys to understand that this is probably going to happen. Ghislaine Maxwell is going to, oh God, shit that I joke about ends up becoming reality, and I fucking hate it. I hate this. Okay? Like, a couple months ago, this was a joke. I was saying this as a joke. Now they're saying it openly. They're saying it out loud. They're like, yeah, give us clemency, free Ghislaine Maxwell from prison, and she will tell everybody how innocent Donald Trump and Bill Clinton actually are. What a psychotic situation. And it's wild because, like, everybody knows what's up. Everybody knows what's up. Everybody knows what's up. They've been asked this question for months. If they wanted to rule it out, they'd have ample opportunities. They clearly see something benefit. They see some benefit in dangling a part in front of a convicted sex offender. Yeah, they do. And the benefit is called having her lie about Donald Trump's infallibility and innocence. And perhaps even Bill Clinton as well. I would be really interested in finding out if there was like an additional, closed door meeting that took place where they were like, listen, mutually assured pedophilia destruction. Obviously, don't fuck up the game here. Let's just get Ghislaine out. Let's have Ghislaine basically say openly that, we're both innocent. And then, and then have the CIA wrap it up later. You know what I mean? When she's a free woman, right? Have some QAnon guy walk up to her and fucking dome her in a crowded street, and then we go, oh, how could this have happened? Activate a CIA sleeper cell like a fucking Thomas Crooks type person. There's like a million of them in America. You know, good old heart attack gun. No heart attack gun necessary. Gun violence is such a constant in American society. Why couldn't they kill her right now? You're literally seeing why they haven't killed her, chatter, because she is the principal witness and co-conspirator to all of these crimes. She is the linchpin that remains, because Jeffrey Epstein was not suicided, obviously, but fucking murdered. We know that, right? I mean, come on. Remember all the people that were trying to tell me, like, oh no, Jeffrey Epstein was like really, really sad. Okay, why the fuck did the FBI actually say that he committed suicide a day prior to his actual fucking murder? The reason why Ghislaine Maxwell is currently alive is because she has played ball. They probably have more confidence in her playing ball. I mean, she literally did try to defend all these people like Alan Dershowitz, Donald Trump, and many others in a court setting. She didn't just like, you know, leak all of this information in an effort to like get some sort of innocence scheme, in some sort of scheme where she would get like a lighter sentence or anything. So the reason why they're keeping her alive is because the reason why they are keeping her alive is because she can come out as the principal witness and play a major role in this propaganda that Donald Trump and Bill Clinton and all these elite pedophiles aren't elite pedophiles at all. They played no role. Comrade, he's still alive? No, dude. The Jeffrey Epstein is still alive shit is a distraction. I feel like a lot of people want to purposely lean into the wrong shit here, and I don't like it. Okay? I find that to be unproductive, unhelpful. No, Jeffrey Epstein is not alive in Israel. You got duped by... You got duped by, what do you call it? Like fucking AI photos, like Gemini AI, generative AI photos. Okay, it's the same. It's the same role that like the Pizzagate style conspiracies play in this stuff, where like these people are openly mentioning that they're like doing pedophilia over and over again in broad daylight in all of these correspondences, and people go, "Oh, what about cheese pizza?" It's like, no, you are purposely trying to find some sort of deep hidden meaning behind the stuff when they were pretty clear, right? When they were pretty clear, blink if the IDF has you. Yes, you guys got me. I'm actually a fucking Mossad agent. And that's why I've spent the last 10 years talking about fucking Jeffrey Epstein. That's the reason why I am the #1 op of Israel on the internet, more so than fucking Nick Fuentes ever could be. You know, that's the reason why I'm actually Shin Bet and Mossad and IDF at the same fucking time. You guys caught me.
Silence.
Her lawyer says she'll answer questions fully and honestly, but only if granted clemency by President Trump. Then adding both President Trump and President Clinton are innocent of any wrongdoing. Miss Maxwell alone can explain why.
Yeah, this is the reason why she's not dead, okay? This is the reason why she's not dead. If you're wondering why they haven't burned her, this is why. Okay, your prediction was wrong. You said thousands of times. Yeah, Raskin. Trump in the unredacted Epstein files more than 1 million times, Raskin alleges. I mean, I'm sure he was being hyperbolic. Or maybe he wasn't. I don't fucking know. I mean, 38,000 is pretty high. It's a pretty high number, don't you think?
The Republican Speaker of the House says she's clearly just trying to cut a deal.
She's pleading the fifth or trying to make deals. She needs to tell the truth. It's long overdue.
But President Trump has not ruled out a pardon for Maxwell. And this morning, there are new questions about what Trump knew about Epstein's inappropriate behavior and when. Buried in the 3 million pages of Epstein files was this FBI document from 2019, first reported by the Miami Herald. A former Palm Beach police chief who was investigating Epstein said Donald Trump called him in the mid-2000s as word got out that Epstein was charged with sex crimes. Police Chief Michael Ryder told the FBI years later that Trump called the Palm Beach Police Department to tell him, "Thank goodness you're stopping him."
Dude. This is the funniest one that like all of the fucking groypers are using to declare Trump's innocence. Dog, this document's from 2019 after Jeffrey Epstein was arrested. Okay? Miss me with this bullshit. Okay? people were like, oh, see, he knew about it in 2006. It's like, oh, really? So why did he speak only in 2019? Huh? They're trying to play fast and loose. This document is not from 2006, chat. This document is from 2019. It's bullshit. And I've seen a lot of people like America First, the AF Post or whatever, posting this shit. You got to ask yourself why. Why is AF First posting that? I know why. Because at the end of the day, they know where their bread is buttered, okay? They are still not in defense of the truth. They're not working to arrive at some like real conclusion. Their first principles revolve around defending the conservative movement, defending the Trump administration, even if they are in the pocket of like elite pedophiles who are Jewish, which you're supposed to hate if you're a Nazi, right? Like it's one of those things that like is adding insult to injury from the perspective of a fucking white nationalist anti-Semite, right? Yeah. This is from, this was in 2019, Trump told Palm Beach police chief everyone knew about Epstein, that Maxwell was evil. This also makes it a little bit harder. In a 2019 FBI interview with the writer contained in the Justice Department's Epstein case files, an interview conducted in October 2019 and not previously reported, has shed new light on Trump's involvement in the early stages of the 2006 Jeffrey Epstein investigation in Palm Beach, Florida. It also raises questions about how much Trump knew about Epstein and Ghislaine Maxwell's crimes. So what it makes this really strange for the record is that if Trump in 2019 said Ghislaine Maxwell and Jeffrey Epstein were fucking evil, why did he in public say that he wishes Ghislaine Maxwell well? Because if you remember, Trump, when asked about Ghislaine Maxwell, when Ghislaine Maxwell was also was also being prosecuted, said, "Oh, I wish her well." Remember? That was strange. He's also floating a pardon for Ghislaine Maxwell. That's strange. That's weird. That's odd. There's a major inconsistency here. How odd. In the past, I used to think that the real dead man switch that exists was not in the hands of Jeffrey Epstein, but potentially Ghislaine Maxwell, and that's part of the reason why she's still alive. I'm beginning to think that it might not just be the dead man switch, but also beyond that, as the principal co-conspirator and key witness to all of this stuff, Ghislaine Maxwell holds all the cards now in terms of maintaining Trump's innocence. And all these other like psychotic pedophilic elite and their innocence.
Everyone has known he's been doing this. The FBI report also states Trump told Ryder that he was around Epstein once when teenagers were present, and Trump got the hell out of there. Trump was one of the very first people to call when people found out they were investigating Epstein. Trump was friends with Epstein for more than a decade. He has repeatedly denied any knowledge of Epstein's crimes. Here's what he told me back in July.
I don't think she, quote unquote, kills herself in prison. I think if that were to happen, it would have happened a long time ago. And the very fact that it hasn't happened up until this very moment means that she either has some assurances, like some post-mortem assurances where like there's a dead man switch or something, and it just like leaks all of this data, like all of the fucking hard evidence that these guys are all pedophiles, like, you know, videos and stuff that are impossible to combat, right? Or because they know she's capable of playing ball. Whereas maybe they didn't have that same assurance for Jeffrey Epstein. Maybe Jeffrey Epstein flew too close to the sun, right? That's what I think. How did Epstein not have a dead man switch, or was that Maxwell? I think Jeffrey Epstein thought he had a dead man switch, and that dead man switch was Ghislaine Maxwell. I think Ghislaine Maxwell burned Jeffrey Epstein. Ghislaine Maxwell always had long-running ties to first the OSS through her father, then to the CIA and Mossad, of course, and all of these other elites. I think if I'm putting my tinfoil conspiracy hat on, I'm thinking Jeffrey Epstein thought his dead man switch was Ghislaine Maxwell. And Ghislaine Maxwell never used that dead man switch once Jeffrey Epstein was killed. Also, there are files showing the FBI purposely fucked with the cameras and hard drives in the prison. Of course they did, because they killed him. What are we talking about? Hello? I mean, none of this stuff is like even new. We just have even more information now. But we knew that we knew that was the case, right? That was part of the reason why I kept saying, I don't give a fuck what the New York Times says. Jeffrey Epstein did not kill himself. Jeffrey Epstein was assassinated. This is ridiculous. And a lot of people would try to fucking argue with me on this. You know, it's totally ridiculous. Or if that 4chan post is real, they switched him out. No, they didn't switch him out. They killed him. Most responded to emails clearly showing him asking Epstein to come to one of his parties by doing the trying to find the real killer shtick and manically tweeting about Epstein 24/7 is the guiltiest thing of all time. No one's ever been more caught. It's telling that Dershowitz, Musk, Hoffman, Clinton are all doing the I demand the release of all the Epstein files PR move of getting caught, being friendly with Epstein, then spinning around with the angry masses, grabbing a pitchfork and playing and saying, let's get the bastards. Blood thinks he's on the team. Yeah. Occam's razor, he is dead and he was assassinated. Yes. If he's dead, then who's playing Fortnite on his account? I already told you. It's most likely his son. He had many children. And it's really interesting that we don't know anything about how many kids he had and where they are, because they were all, they were all, I don't know what how I can, like, what's the best language to use here, but like they were all produced through medical coercion, rape, with sex trafficked victims. He was obsessed in the same way that in the same way that Elon Musk is with like producing as many kids as possible. You're reaching, bud. Intellectually incurious, sad. How are you drawing that conclusion? Which one? Which one do you think I'm reaching on? The fact that Jeffrey Epstein undoubtedly was murdered, rather than escape to Israel and is playing Fortnite on his fucking Fortnite account, or the fact that read more? What do you mean read more? What, your comments? I'm asking you a question. I've read more than you on this, I promise you. Simply just through the passage of time. I've been reading for years and years at this point. My fans in the FBI are coping. Yeah. The code words. Oh my God. Oh my God. Shut up. Shut up. Shut up. Shut up. Oh God. I hate these motherfuckers so much. Oh. Yes, dude. You're the real communard, schizoid, parapolitics poster. Okay. You're the real deal. We're all fake. We're all phony. It can't like, the narrative that you are able to pull through with all of these revelations can't be exactly what it is. There has to be a layer past the things that we know now. I understand the endless investment and interest people have, but sometimes if these guys are openly saying like they want to fuck kids, okay, in the emails, but control the narrative about me from a few comments that disagree with you. Oh my God. I'm just the regular dude. Sorry, bro. I don't know. You hate Kyle K. The code word secular talk. What are you doing? Why would I hate Kyle Kalinske? I'm friends with Kyle. I don't know who you are. Just take an hour off, man. Oh my God. This motherfucker immediately is like, I've actually pulled the strings and I figured out that you, one, hate Kyle Kalinske, who you've known for a decade plus and love and are friends with and talk to with regular frequency. I've also pulled the strings of conspiracy to figure out that you hate me. You know who I am and you hate me. It's like, I don't know who you are. You're a random chatter. No disrespect, but like, I don't know who the fuck you are. And all I can do is like try to understand what your worldview is from the couple different posts that you made in the chat. But you choose to use the moment of the spotlight to be vague posting, you know.
You said that Jeffrey Epstein stole people from Mar-a-Lago. At the time, did you know why he was taking those young women, including Virginia, who was just 16 at the time?
I would figure it was ABC fake news that would ask that question, one of the worst. But no, I don't know really why. But I said if he's taking anybody from Mar-a-Lago, he's hiring or whatever he's doing. I didn't like it, and we threw him out.
Meanwhile, on Capitol Hill, the fallout only growing as lawmakers get their first chance to review the unredacted files at the Department of Justice. Two lawmakers telling reporters they reviewed those documents for 2 hours. And
Kyle thinks pizza is possibly a code. Yeah, I mean, it's fine. We can have disagreements on that. You know what I mean? It doesn't mean I hate a person. Like, it's so fucking stupid that people just like, make something so much larger out of this kind of like reasonable disagreement that we might have. All right, I got
found several names of men they say should be revealed without redaction.
There is no reason in our legislation that allows them to redact the names of those men.
The DOJ says that they are committed to transparency, insisting they have nothing to hide and accusing those lawmakers you just heard from of grandstanding. A DOJ official also telling us this morning they are not aware of any corroborating evidence that President Trump called law enforcement 20 years ago. But Robin, this storyline and the questions surrounding this are not going away.
Not anytime soon, and rightfully so. Rachel, thank you.
Yesterday, Congressman Massey and I went to the Department of Justice to read the unredacted Epstein files. We spent about 2 hours there, and we learned that 70 to 80% of the files are still redacted. In fact, there were 6 wealthy, powerful men that the DOJ hid for no apparent reason. When Congressman Massey and I pointed this out to the Department of Justice, they acknowledged their mistake, and now they have revealed the identity of these 6 powerful men. These men are Salvatore Navora, Zorab Mikaladze, Leopig Leonor, Nicola Caputa, Sultan Ahmed bin Sulayem, CEO of Dubai Ports World, and billionaire businessman Leslie Wexner, who was labeled as a co-conspirator by the FBI. Now, my question is, why did it take Thomas Massey and me going to the Justice Department to get these 6 men's identities to become public?
Yep. Pretty weird. I thought we were only getting the redactions on the victims. Oh my God. It turns out it's not just the victims whose names were redacted. It was co-conspirators. One must ask the question why the FBI was hiding and sheltering the names of co-conspirators. One must ask the question why they were sheltering the names of co-conspirators who weren't even American citizens, as a matter of fact. Todd Blanche was posting vigorously last night, but only made himself look like an idiot. They admit he unredacted it, and then said, we're hiding nothing. You just said you were. I know. I saw it. The document you cite has numerous victim names. We just have the unredacted Les Wexner's name from this document, but his name already appears in the files thousands of times. DOJ is hiding nothing. Yeah, the co-conspirator document is redacted, though, dumbass. Just because he is unredacted in other parts of the fucking tranche of data that is readily available in the Epstein files doesn't mean that, like, this is not a profoundly important aspect of the document that you redacted. This is ridiculous. Okay? Yeah, we know Les Wexner is all over the Epstein files. We also know Les Wexner was directly involved with Jeffrey Epstein publicly. That's not something you can hide. Why do you hate the people who pay for your luxury house in one of the highest cost of living areas in the U.S.? Says Haas, calm down. I don't know. I just hate him. I hate you. It is what it is, you know? Put the subscription in the bag, little bro. No, we'll unredact this guy too. Gizmo Max. No, don't ban him. I want to hear from him again. I want to hear what he has to say. I'm sure he has like brilliant takes in general. Let him type on his main account. Yeah, I don't know why he's typing on this account. Who are these people that Ro mentioned? Like Les Wexner is the owner of L Brands, Victoria's Secret, and is the reason why he has a tremendous amount of money, like Jeffrey Epstein does. He doesn't want you to check his admin logs. Yeah, I know. That's probably the new meta now, right? I do hate you is a wild accusation. Chatter, I don't know who you are. You know that, right? I guess you don't. But I don't know who you are. Okay? I don't know who you are. I can't possibly hate you. I don't know you, right? But you hate me anyways? No, I'm memeing. Okay? I need you to understand. I'm memeing. I know it's difficult for you to comprehend stuff. I would have to know who you are to develop an opinion about you. You know everything about me because you watch me all the time. So you think, oh, he's in my living room. He's talking directly to me. Okay? Please. You are talking directly to me. Oh my God. Now I am. Okay? Now I am. But throughout the day, when you develop this initial perspective that I hate the people who pay for my luxury house in one of the highest cost of living areas in the US, like you develop that perspective thinking that like I have some kind of enmity, some kind of hatred towards you and all these other people in my own community. Okay? This is the problem. I'm responding to the first post that you made. This is a baby who has no understanding of how the internet works. He's a child. I don't know if this is a child. I think it's sadder than that. I think it's like I think it's more so a adult with a baby brain. You know? You scream at your chat constantly? Yeah, of course I do. Why do you think people are so much more understanding of that process though? Why? It's because people like yourself make alt accounts, sock accounts, specifically to come in here and cry and whine and say stupid things. And they do it over and over and over again. And throughout the day, there are moments that are, perfectly appropriate for yelling, where inevitably I just fucking get mad and yell. Do you think there's 32,000 people in this community right now that are all like, well, he hates me, but I'm still in here because I love him regardless? Or do you think people are like, yeah, I hate that motherfucker too. I hate that motherfucker he pulled up as well. I would love to know who his main is and figure out when you yelled at him. I don't know. But what's so crazy about it is when people turn around, so just ignore chat, you're using to engage. You're just rude to people for no reason. Everyone on the other end of this chat is a person with feelings too. Chatter, I'm gonna be real with you. I'm not going to yell at you right now, but probably 32,763 people in the chat hate you right now for doing just that. Like, you are the example of what I'm talking about. Like, if I were to yell at you right now, the rest of the fucking community would be like, oh no, that's like super valid. They're probably yelling at their TVs right now for me to fucking move on because you're selfishly and narcissistically derailing the conversation as we're talking about, the elite pedophilic cabal. In your mind, you think you're holding me accountable. The reality of the matter is you're just being a fucking nuisance. You're being annoying. You're going, me, my feelings. And there are a shit ton of people who think you probably should shut the fuck up, Anyway. Haas, calm down. He's rage baiting you. I know, but it's not working. I do like when I unban people like that, because if they can't succeed in rage baiting, they increasingly become more and more unhinged. Why am I a narcissist but you aren't? I never said I'm not a narcissist. I do have narcissistic tendencies. I'm a content creator. What the fuck do you mean? I think all of the content creators are narcissistic in general. The reason why I say you're being a narcissist and self-centered in this situation, however, and this is the last thing I'm going to address, and then we're going to get back to the story. The reason why I say that is because there's a shit ton of people that are coming in here to learn about what's going on in the news, and you are choosing to try to change the dynamic, change the coverage back to yourself. This is selfish, right? That's it. That's it. That's the reason why we're all calling you narcissistic. Show chat what 30,000 people look like. Yeah. Yeah, this is literally the chat right now. Okay? This is the chat. Or this is the chat, sorry. That's 20,000 people. This is 30,000 people. Anyway, it's a really unique point in time where you can have this many people in one room and then laser focus on one person's desires. And some people like to abuse it. But we're going to continue now.
And if we found 6 men that they were hiding in 2 hours, imagine how many men they are covering up for in those 3 million files. But the story gets worse. The reality is that Donald Trump's FBI scrubbed these files in March, long before Thomas Massie and I passed the Epstein Transparency Act. Now, my bill is clear. The Epstein Transparency Act requires them to unredact those FBI files. And yet the Justice Department said to me and to Congressman Massie, we just uploaded whatever the FBI sent us. And guess what? The FBI sent scrubbed files. That means the survivor's statement to the FBI, naming rich and powerful men who went to Epstein's island, who went to his ranch, who went to his home and raped and abused underage girls or saw underage girls being paraded, they're all hidden. They're all redacted. It's a little bit of a farce. They're inviting all the members of Congress to go to see the Department of Justice, quote unquote, unredacted files, but they've got all redacted files from the FBI. And it's not the fault of the Justice Department attorneys. They were just told upload things that Donald Trump's FBI had already scrubbed. It's a blatant violation of the Epstein Transparency Act, but it also asks a fundamental question. Who are they protecting? Why are they protecting these rich and powerful men, people I call part of the Epstein class? Why are we in a country where there is no elite accountability for people who do the most heinous things? You have in England the king now calling for an investigation and possible prosecution of his own brother. You have in Norway the princess who no longer has support to be the queen. And yet in the United States of America, we have someone in the cabinet.
True. It is a pretty big L that you have monarchs that are showing more backbone than the supposed American democratic process here. It's pretty wild, man. It's pretty fucking wild. European nation states demonstrate more competence in their governance than we do. We don't feel the need to do so. Yeah, it's startling how much a bigger impact the Epstein files is having in Europe than the U.S. They react in a more normal and more transparent manner to the Epstein revelations than we have. We just straight up look at the Epstein stuff and we're like, oh, wow, I guess we all, this is a moment of vindication for everyone that kind of knew that we have an elite pedophilic cabal that's basically running the country in a bipartisan manner. And they're connected through this one specific pedophilic sex trafficker who works for both the state of Israel and also the United States of America, definitely CIA and Mossad. There's not really much we can do about it. It is what it is. Like, that's the attitude overall, and it's fucking crazy.
Cabinet, Howard Lutnick, who is all over these Epstein files, who allegedly had business with Epstein after he was convicted of pedophilia, and he still is in the cabinet. We need to ask ourselves, are we in America going to have elite accountability? Are we going to call on rich and powerful people who broke the law or cavorted with a pedophile, a convicted pedophile? Are we going to call them to account? Are we going to have prosecutions for billionaires who went to this island and either raped underage girls or saw underage girls being raped and didn't say anything? Are we going to have investigations? I'll tell you what this is about. It's not just about the 1,200 survivors. It's about 2 tiers of justice in America. It's about people who can accumulate wealth and power and don't have to care about the rest of America. They have destroyed so much of this country. Income inequality is at a 60-year high. Workers' salaries are less than they have been for 75 years as a part of GDP. Somehow this country seems to be working for the rich and powerful, but it's not working for ordinary working class Americans.
And it's all held together with elite relationships through pedophilia. It is crazy. Relationships to the nation state of Israel, relationships through pedophilia, sex trafficking of minors. Like, I don't even know what to say, man. Have you heard about the other guys other than Wexner and the Sultan? Yeah.
I say enough. It's time to begin with accountability for the Epstein class. Hold them in front of Congress, those people who visited the island or did business with Epstein after he was a convicted pedophile. Investigate them, prosecute them, and let's return to democratic accountability in the United States of America. Let's return to one system of justice in the United States of America. Let's return to a place where every American has a stake in this country.
Do you solemnly declare and affirm under the penalty
A rare window inside the Texas prison where Ghislaine Maxwell is serving 20 years for sex trafficking. The new video shows Maxwell appearing yesterday via video link in front of Congress.
Dude, how can we make fun of France or England ever again and call them like pedophile island or anything like that when, not only is the American elite just as pedophilic, but also at least their populations have been more frustrated with the elite pedophiles than ours has been. Or even when we are frustrated with the elite pedophilia, the pedophilic cabal, there's nothing that takes place. There's no push, there's no motion, there's no momentum to enact justice.
In a closed-door meeting. For survivors, it was a moment for answers. Instead, this.
Ms. Maxwell, were you a close friend and confidant of Jeffrey Epstein?
I would like to answer your question, but on the advice of counsel, I respectfully decline to answer this question and any related questions. I therefore invoke my right to silence. I invoke my Fifth Amendment right to silence. I invoke my Fifth Amendment right.
As expected, Maxwell exercised her right to the Fifth Amendment, meaning she can choose not to give evidence that may incriminate her. However, her lawyer said Maxwell would be prepared to speak fully and honestly if granted clemency by President Trump.
I'm going to have to assert my Fifth, Sixth and 14th Amendment rights, sir.
If it all sounds familiar, that's because it is. Survivors say it reinforces a pattern that they have long described from both Epstein and Maxwell: self-preservation over accountability.
Well, Ghislaine Maxwell certainly has critical information that would help us understand exactly, what happened and who was there at varying times. Some of that we've been able to piece together through the information from other witnesses, et cetera. But she was definitely at the center of this. The problem is she will never tell the truth.
Maxwell's appearance comes as Congress members criticised what they called the over-redacted Epstein files.
What I saw that bothered me were the names of at least 6 men that have been redacted that are likely incriminated by their inclusion in these files. What we're after is the men who Jeffrey Epstein trafficked women to. We want those names published.
It's been more than a week since the US Department of Justice released millions of videos, texts and emails in connection with the Epstein scandal. A drip feed of information exposing a mapping of...
The problem here is also like the unredacted files. So they basically designed like a SCIF style area in Congress where you can go as a congressperson and like look at the unredacted files, right? And the fear that I have is whether or not the unredacted files are the full complete files there, because we have no assurances. Like right now, one of the only ways that we can figure out whether or not these are all of the actual files is because of Gmail, right? Gmail instantly will download and then re-upload all of the files that the government releases, right? And you can check the metadata to see like what kind of Gmail, okay? It's this effort made by random people that got together and took all of the Jeffrey Epstein vacation emails that were released that will automatically download and then upload all of the files that the administration is putting out there and then deleting. What's crazy about Gmail is that it's currently the only way that we can even figure out whether or not the administration is actually taking out some of the files. Because like initially the files that they're releasing will be like, oh, here it is. Initially the files that they are, and they basically made it easy to like go through it, right? They have the primary emails that he has sent. You can also see like you can also search through people like, you know, Elon Musk and Ehud Barak and all these other like notable figures. But what's interesting, the fuck is this page? It's like a fake email system that they created to make it easier to browse through Jeffrey Epstein's emails and things like that. Basically, this just makes it easier to fucking browse through all of this information, right? All emails from the January 30th release are now browsable on Gmail. Shout out to Reducto AI for support on large-scale record processing. Now, what's interesting about it is that they also upload all the data from the redacted Epstein files that the FBI, the Department of Justice, has released. And right now, when they release files, people browse through them, people scour through those files and find certain compromising files, and then the DOJ will go back and delete those files from the fucking website. And Gmail, because they immediately download all the files that are released at first glance, is one of the only reliable ways that we can figure out like what they're actually deleting from the redacted files as well. My point is, it's quite difficult. It's virtually impossible for these like old boomers that will go to these like go to the unredacted files inside of Congress and identify what they've manipulated, right? Trump's FBI scrubbed these files in March. Yeah. Trump's FBI scrubbed these files back in March. Documents Justice Scott had the redactions the FBI had made back then.
For you and Congressman Massey said there are at least 6 men whose names have been redacted who should be incriminated by their inclusion in the files. Can you elaborate more on that? I mean, is it clear was that part of the group that was redacted in the first place?
No, that is not part of the group. It doesn't look like that was part of the group that was redacted in the first place. There are certain documents that say there are 10 co-conspirators, 15 co-conspirators. In that document, some of them were women. Now, I don't know if those women were survivors or not survivors, but...
Can you speculate why those 6 were redacted? There's more than 6. 6 is just people that they know of as co-conspirators. 6 people, 6 redacted names are co-conspirators that they've identified. There's probably a fuck ton more, Chad. Okay? These are just co-conspirators that the Department of Justice also identified as co-conspirators. This is a tiny, tiny sliver, like 0.001% of the overall documents that they've been able to look at. There's just too much information in here. And that it took them like 2 hours to go through all this stuff. So when they say 6 people that should have been unredacted but were hidden from the public as co-conspirators, they're talking about some high-profile individuals that they were able to identify. The real number is probably way, way higher than that. Who would be a shock to you if they were in the files? No one. At this point, no one. No one at all would be a shock to me. America is the greatest superpower on the planet, and America and Israel are in cahoots with one another, and therefore Jeffrey Epstein touched every single person. No pun intended. That's precisely the reason why you see him with like high-profile celebrities every now and then. Like, there is not a single person that would shock me. It depends on the level of connection that they had to Jeffrey Epstein. Okay? That's it. Like when you say, oh, if Michelle Obama was on there, I'd be shocked. Like, how is that shocking to you? Jeffrey Epstein was in these circles. Michelle Obama could have easily been at an event that Jeffrey Epstein was at. You know what I mean? I mean, Zoran's mom was at an event that Jeffrey Epstein was at. Hello? There's a difference between being mentioned in the files and being a co-conspirator, or the level of involvement that you had and the frequency in which you met Jeffrey Epstein. For example, the Obamas are not in the files directly, right? Like, they are mentioned in the files, of course, you know, because Barack Obama was the president. However, Barack Obama's close associates are directly involved with Jeffrey Epstein. And the same goes for Joe Biden. Joe Biden, as far as we know, did not have like a direct contact with Jeffrey Epstein at all. And yet there are a fuck ton of people that are in close vicinity, close proximity to Joe Biden that are all up and down the Epstein files. They're constantly talking to Jeffrey Epstein. There's constant back and forth. There's constant correspondence. So it shouldn't be shocking to see like certain celebrities that you love that have been connected at some point with Jeffrey Epstein by way of just like being at the same event or something. That's normal. But like I said, it's not remotely surprising to me if we see anyone and everyone on there.
We give the benefit of the doubt to justice. Maybe those were survivors who also happened to be co-conspirators and they appropriately redacted them. But there are 6 men in those documents, some of them foreign-born, a couple of them in the United States with their pictures, and there's absolutely no explanation for why they...
I mean, you're saying, like, what about the Chinese officials? There were some Chinese officials in the Epstein files. They apparently were saying to one another, be careful of the Jewish dog, when referencing Jeffrey Epstein. So even, of course, there's going to be members of the, Chinese government that are going to be in here. Jeffrey Epstein is literally a fucking agent of the CIA. Yeah, the only famous celebrities that you won't see in there are only not in there because they're too young to be in there. You know what I mean? Think about it this way. Mehdi Hasan is mentioned in the Epstein files. But the reason why he was mentioned in the Epstein files is because someone was sending Jeffrey Epstein an email with one of Mehdi Hasan's debates about Islam. Okay? Norm Finkelstein is mentioned in the Jeffrey Epstein files. But the only reason why the Young Turks is mentioned, wait, really? So they're, I didn't know that. It's not that surprising though, because they were looking at everything, right? Zayn Malik was in the Epstein files, even though he's relatively young. But the reason why he was being mentioned is because he was identified as an anti-Israel celebrity. So not every mention is the same. The Hadid sisters were mentioned. Epstein emails discuss the Hadid sisters' modeling career. He's discussing he alleges they did sexual acts and their father paid modeling agencies to attain their success as models. Epstein, because they followed directions. Is that simple? That's gross. What's up with the Imran Khan mention and them claiming he's more dangerous than like Xi or Putin? Is that even geopolitically cogent? Yes, because Pakistan is a nuclear armed nation and an incredibly important country that America must maintain control over through its intelligence connection. The military runs the country, and the military is basically the CIA. Imran Khan would have developed sovereignty for Pakistan, regardless of his other issues, right? He would have developed sovereignty for Pakistan, and that was unacceptable. It would have destroyed a major part of America's global war on terror initiatives. Because as former defense ministers, current defense ministers have mentioned over and over again, Pakistan has played a major role in modern terrorism in the way that we understand it. They have, by way of the CIA, basically developed all of the terror cells that you know. Without America's stranglehold over the ISI and the Pakistani military, who knows what kind of information you would learn about, who knows what kind of information we get out of Pakistan, and Pakistan, a nuclear armed nation, would be directly aligned with China. What's wrong with Imran Khan? What do you mean there's something wrong with him? These guys are fucking, these guys are heading major nations. There's always going to be issues with like self-governance. There's always going to be like domestic issues, right? That's what I mean. Like whether it be like the treatment of the Balochistan independence movement people. Imran Khan is seemingly an angel in comparison to some of these other figures, but like ultimately there's still going to be issues. I'm saying my expectation is not that they're infallible anyway. I'm simply saying that there are issues, but they're inconsequential in comparison to Pakistan. Like he's not in prison for those reasons. He's in fucking prison because he is considered a major threat to American interest in Pakistan. Okay? Something that a lot of people refuse to comprehend when talking about these sorts of things will be like, well, fuck him, he was bad on this, or fuck him, he was bad on that. It's like, okay, well, those aren't the reasons why he's in fucking jail. Okay? Anyway.
They were redacted. Now, we just discovered 6 men in a 2-hour review. My guess is there are more of those people, and we are going to petition the Justice Department to release that. That could have been incompetence and a cover-up. The broader cover-up, though, that I'm concerned about is the scrubbing that took place in March in the FBI files, where all of this redacted information was then sent to the Justice Department. I think U.S. attorneys looked at it in good faith, but they were looking at documents that were already redacted. So when I said to the Justice Department person, who was very nice, helping me search through the documents, I said, why are these redacted? He said, well, sir, we got them this way. So we just are putting them up in the form we got them. And that is the big issue that needs to be addressed.
Yeah, the torture video was from the UAE guy. The CIA had the Pakistani military and ISI hand over a random Pakistani prisoner and gave Trump claiming rights that he caught the Abbey Gate bomber and therefore got justice for Biden fiasco in Afghanistan. Supposedly, CIA wanted Trump to side with the Pakistani military over Khan. Yeah. Serious question, big bro. If they deleted some stuff entirely, if they could, why not delete most of them? I mean, I think they can't go super heavy-handed. Because obviously there are methods of figuring it out through the metadata. And that's the reason why they are figuring it out. It could also be because there's so much information out there that through this faucet of info, it's pretty hard to pick apart like the discernible parts of this. That's one thing. It makes it much harder to go through all the files and figure out exactly what's wrong, exactly what's taking place. You also run into the problem with, this chatter is correct. There's rank and filers. Because when you have a conspiracy, not a conspiracy theory, but a conspiracy to keep something from the public, there are going to be the larger the number of files are, the larger the number of agents that are working on the files, whether to redact them or to investigate it, right? And that means the likelihood of someone whistleblowing increases. This is why certain conspiracy theories are automatically considered ridiculous, like the moon landing, right? The amount of people that would have participated in creating the fake, like the staged moon landing, is so high that it's mathematically impossible for someone not to come out and reveal what actually took place. And I think like some of the Epstein revelations is the same as well, because so many people have played a role in the investigation. So many people have played a role in the cover up that if they were to like not follow through on the law, I suspect that there would be some naysayers that would come out and be like, well, here's where the government actually fucked up, right? That's why you need blackmail, which a lot of these secret societies do. Yes, but when there's too many links that hold a chain together, that's an endless amount of opportunity for the link to fucking fall apart. You can't blackmail every single person. It's crazy though. That's all this time, literally no whistleblowers have come out of someone leaking. Yeah. People in the intelligence community know that secrets have a half-life. Depending on how big the secret is, they can be kept probably for only up to about 10 years with most secrets. It's all a matter of timing, and these are volatile assets. Moon landing is definitely real, and there's no ice wall or flat earth or firmament. Yeah. Yeah. What is this? I mean, definitely for something, but this Epstein shit shows how long it can go before it all unfolds. You're kind of wrong, dog. Wait, what? You're watching it unfold right now, chatter. What are you talking about? And also, half of the stuff that we now know, for many of you, this is your first encounter with Jeffrey Epstein's like crimes or all of the connected people to Jeffrey Epstein. For someone like myself and for many others in this community, this is just a confirmation of things that we already knew. You understand that, right? That in and of itself means that there were weak links in the chain that have allowed us to learn about what Jeffrey Epstein was up to. You know that, right? Like, Les Wexner is not a new person. And the reason why they can't keep redacting Les Wexner's name from the entirety of the files is because we already knew for decades that Les Wexner was Jeffrey Epstein's primary financial benefactor. That's not a new piece of information at all. If anything, this kind of stuff coming out is just more evidence to something that we knew about already. But aren't we seeing how long this has gone on before it actually unravels? No, all of this stuff is just additional confirmation. Most of the things that they're talking about most of the things that we're finding out in this revelation of the Epstein files saga is just stuff that we knew about already. Like, we knew Ehud Barak was deeply connected. We just didn't know exactly how connected he was or what the conversations looked like. Like, these are suspicions being confirmed. Or in many instances, additional information being revealed about things that we already knew. Like, a lot of the stuff we knew about already. We knew that Jeffrey Epstein was a Mossad agent. Okay? But there wasn't this much confirmation before. There was evidence here and there. Yeah, knowing and actual legal and evidence knowing is different. Chatter is right. Yes, you're 100% right about that, but doesn't this show the severity of how easy it is to cover up even crazy ass shit like this? Not necessarily. I think it proves exactly what I'm saying. When you have this many people, when you have this many people involved, it's virtually impossible to keep it a secret. And that's precisely why we knew so much. There's a lot of obfuscation. And there's also an opportunity to like deflect the attention away. And that's why I rail against people. That's why I rail against people that just regularly say like, oh, it's the Pizzagate conspiracy real, shit like that. Because that's also playing a role in further obfuscating the truth. The real problem right now is not that like we don't know the full details. The real problem right now with the Epstein files is we know a lot more details now, a lot more evidence, and yet there is no accountability that comes after it.
Men in power across the globe. And a pop star who's severed ties with that world order. A mic drop moment as Grammy award-winning star Chappell Rowan, who sings about a safe place in hit Pink Pony Club, became the latest star to leave her agents after their founder, Casey Wasserman, was named in the Epstein files. Wasserman had exchanged flirtatious emails with Ghislaine Maxwell over 2 decades ago and has since said he deeply regrets it. From pop stars to politicians caught with their trousers down, the Epstein files have almost brought down the British government. And as tens of millions watched, the victims of Jeffrey Epstein had this message broadcast at the Super Bowl.
This girl deserves the truth. Because she deserves the truth.
Using the most public platform.
I think one of the wildest things is Michael Treacy, the preeminent contrarian Michael Treacy, doing everything in his power to defend Jeffrey Epstein right now, defend Noam Chomsky, defend Jeffrey Epstein, and constantly fucking tarnish the victims. And I feel like he's not even doing it for some, additional insight or access to, espionage facilities or anything like that. Like, he's not even a state asset. He's literally doing it purely for the love of the game. I cannot, like, it's unbelievable that for my first reaction to Michael Treacy was when he came to the Young Turks. He was a colleague of mine back in the day. And one of the first big things that he did was talk about how anti-Semitism ain't shit, right? He was like, anti-Semitism is totally fake. It's totally made up. It's irrelevant, all this stuff. And a lot of people got mad at him, right? A lot of people got mad at him at the time for doing that because he was the OG contrarian. Okay? And now at a moment of like, at a moment of conspiracy that kind of corresponds with what he was saying at the time that, you could have even presented as like anti-Semitic, like this like Jewish cabal, all this stuff. This should be a moment of vindication for many of the anti-Semitic conspiracists that want to take advantage of the Jeffrey Epstein saga and say, see, this is a Jewish pedophilic cabal. See, we told you. He has taken the opposite position. He's taken the opposite position, and he's now saying, actually, all of these people wanted it. All of these people got paid. All of these people got like fantastic vacations. He's doing major victim blaming. It's incredible. It's incredible how much this guy loves being a contrarian for the sake of being a contrarian.
To ask simply for the truth, while Maxwell used hers for silence and not for the first time.
And joining me now to discuss all of this is Charlotte Proudman, barrister and campaigner specialising in violence against women and girls. Charlotte, thanks for joining us. I mean, what sort of message do you think this sends to survivors watching Ghislaine Maxwell on this very public stage refusing to answer questions?
I think it's a real slap in the face for survivors who we know from the emails that have been disclosed have suffered some of the most horrendous, torturous events perhaps imaginable, from rape, sexual assault, deep forms of harm, that being girls and women. We know that Maxwell herself was involved in the trafficking of women, and yet here she is, one of the only people that we know has had a direct role in the abuses inflicted by Epstein and other very famous, powerful men, and refusing to provide any information.
Now, survivors say Maxwell's silence sort of reflects a pattern of self-preservation over accountability that they've seen time and time again. I mean, is that something you've seen, Charlotte?
Absolutely. I mean, we do tend to see where there have been abuses of power, that perpetrators will still focus on their own self-preservation and making sure that they won't be held accountable for any further crimes. But often what we tend to see sometimes is that perpetrators will hold others accountable and will suggest that they may not be responsible, but other people are. And what we see in the Maxwell case is effectively not telling the world, certainly not survivors, who else is responsible.
Now, Congress has criticised the Epstein files for, in their words, being overly redacted. I mean, in your view, are these redactions protecting national security, as some claim, or are they protecting powerful individuals?
I think one of the ironic things about the redactions is that we hear from victims that their privacy has been invaded because the files have not been appropriately redacted. So it's quite easy, I'm told, to get hold of victims' names, potentially their medical records, social security records, and so forth. And yet when it comes to perpetrators, we see that their names are redacted. Of course, not all of them, but very many of them are redacted. Now, what is the purpose of those redactions? Surely it can't be national security. And there is, in my view, and certainly what would outweigh that, is a public interest in holding those perpetrators accountable.
I mean, with your barrister's hat on, legally now, what are the routes, do you think, for survivors? We've seen that, justice appears to have stopped with Maxwell. Are there other paths that they could pursue?
I mean, I would like to see those that have sent emails to Epstein who are directly implicated or indeed themselves have perpetrated sexual violence upon women and girls investigated by the police and by law enforcement agencies, whether that's in the UK or the US. For example, I think it would be only right that Andrew Mountbatten Windsor is investigated by the police. Why hasn't he been investigated? Yet Mandelson, who supposedly leaked confidential information from the government to Epstein, a convicted paedophile at the time, has been investigated by the police. Why is it that survivors...
I mean, they both should be. And also, the investigations should also lead to Keir Starmer resigning in disgrace as well. And every single Labour Party Blairite that played a formative role in knifing Jeremy Corbyn, who is perhaps the most vindicated politician in England. There should be in a just world, and we do not live in a just world, but in a just world, Keir Starmer, Mandelson, all the labor friends of Israel, all of these people that were either directly or indirectly connected to Jeffrey Epstein would be sufficiently investigated, okay, would be sufficiently investigated and would be brought to justice and would be forced to resign in disgrace and possibly go to prison. Because the only way that you can analyze what took place in the Labour Party against Jeremy Corbyn is foreign intervention in British democracy. Okay, foreign intervention at the behest of the United States of America and Israel. That's just the reality. Because that's precisely what happened. Jeremy Corbyn was seen as a threat to American imperialism, was seen as a threat to Israel, and Jeremy Corbyn was destroyed from within the party by direct collaborators of Jeffrey Epstein. I think the public deserves to know exactly what that relationship looked like. That should be investigated. And if there was any sort of real competence, here, they would do that. They would demand this investigation. They would try to push for this investigation. Yeah, I saw the dad shot daughter after arguing about Donald Trump. And before people say, oh, well, Keir Starmer's demise would lead to a reform growth. I mean, you have the Green Party right there. Okay, so you're wrong on that front either. I mean, you're not right on that front either. Let's be real. Haven't seen any videos of the broadcast media harassing Mendelsohn outside his house. Was constant during Corbyn leadership and indeed for some time after. I'd say curious, but it's because basically the whole broadcast media except GB News swings New Labour. No, that's overreach. Corbyn would at most not participate openly. No, I'm not saying Corbyn would do it. So reform can take the throne as well as the AFD. There is already an alternative out there that has actually grown past the point of Labor right now in popularity, and that's the Greens. And I can't believe I'm saying this because normally I'd be very skeptical of like any sort of green initiative, but as it stands currently, your party is non-existent. Labor has fallen apart. Labor got all of its wishes. Okay, it became a newer version of the Tory party. It's spectacularly unpopular. And now there's at least one group that is rising from the ashes. Have you heard about the Revolution Party in Canada? I think it's becoming what the Greens here never could. I don't know. Also, the alternative is what? That you don't punish people that were undermining liberal democracy in the UK, in the United States of America, at the behest of two foreign nation states, the United States and, United States and Israel. Like, that's like these the elite pedophilic cabal and its affiliates should not have their reputation tarnished, should not be investigated. Really? That's your argument here? Like, I personally don't care. Anyone and everyone that is involved with Jeffrey Epstein, Democrat or Republican alike, should be properly investigated, should be punished. Okay? There is no electoral calculation I'm making here. If we can't say that people that are related to an elite pedophilic cabal should be punished, then there is no, it's over. You know what I mean? There is no need for democracy. We just live under this this strange system that presents itself as a democracy, but there's no democracy at all. There's no democratic process at all. It's ridiculous.
and indeed their right to bodily integrity, to freedom of violence, are not taken seriously, it just shows to me that the policing priorities are not right.
I mean, you talk of consequences, you know, from politicians to pop stars. We are seeing a sort of severing of ties after individuals are named in the files. I wonder, do you think that reputational pressure and damage can succeed where the justice system has failed?
I used to think so. I think particularly during the Me Too movement, I did think that reputational damage perhaps can sometimes outweigh and indeed perhaps even grapple with some of the challenges and barriers within the criminal justice system in terms of holding perpetrators accountable. However, what we saw post Me Too is that very many men were able to effectively embark upon a PR exercise.
I don't know how you can connect the dots of the Ghislaine pardon, but you can't see how there could be other conspiracies about the United States and the world. I feel like you're looking past what I previously was trying to say. I'm not trying to be a conspiracy nut, but for real, you cannot argue the fact that the current Epstein files are showing how much power they have and how they can manipulate any single person they want. Like, for real, dude, just open up your mind a tad in this direction. What are you talking about? I don't even disagree with you. I think you want to disagree with me for the sake of disagreement. Like, what is the take? Like, what have I not opened my mind up to? Like, how do you look at everything that is unfolded and then go, you know what? We must go deeper. They're actually all lizards or something, and the earth is flat. Like, what? Like, what is the take here? Is it the moon landing? It's because you think the moon landing is real? That's what you think? That's your problem with my assessment, is that like, if they could keep the Jeffrey Epstein stuff under wraps, even though they literally couldn't, not only right now, but also even before this very moment, a lot of the stuff that we are finding out about, as I'm saying over and over again, is things that we knew about already, things that you would have heard from me all the way back in 2019. None of this shit is new information. What's new is direct confirmation. That's new. But we already had circumstantial evidence. We had hard evidence like photos, financial entanglements, things of that nature. But we just didn't have the direct emails, the direct back and forth, for example, or we didn't know how deep the connection went.
Of making sure that in some way their PR was rehabilitated.
Do you think things have progressed since the Me Too movement? You know, we talk about it as a kind of colossal moment, but seeing this sort of global...
Oh, it's all about the Pizzagate was true and those who believed it were right before everyone? Yeah, except I was very actively covering the Jeffrey Epstein saga, and I did not offer credence to the Pizzagate conspiracies.
Mapping of power. Are we moving in the right direction in your view?
I think incrementally there was some changes with the Me Too movement, but I also think there was a huge pushback, and perhaps one of the most powerful examples of that is the election of Donald Trump. It shows that when it comes to the public, that's views on morality, particularly violence against women and girls, I think there's still predominantly this.
Like, the Pizzagate stuff reminds me of the Wayfair conspiracies. Okay. People make up, or people believe certain conspiracies and they just won't let it go. They will be like, I need confirmation for this thing that I believed already. Yeah, so you were way off? No, I wasn't. The fuck are you talking about? Oh, they're using code words. You're clearly wrong. Yeah, the code words are young nubile teen. That's not a code word. They're just openly saying it. Oh. One of the things that we found out is that Jeffrey Epstein may have been directly involved in 4chan polls creation, and these people still look at 4chan and 4chan created conspiracies like QAnon, like Pizzagate, and go, no, that's real actually. How do you not understand that the actual evidence from the files shows that there is a very high likelihood that all of those fucking conspiracy theories that were created and concocted on 4chan were possibly created as a way to distract you from the actual evidence of real conspiracy, not a conspiracy theory, mind you, but real conspiracy of a global pedophilic cabal. You're still fucking leaning into the distraction. That's my argument. Okay? Were they actually sex trafficking minors in broad daylight? Absolutely. Were they doing it through Wayfair.com by ordering fucking furniture? No. Let it go. Same thing with like, were they actually sex trafficking minors? Absolutely. Were they doing it through the basement of a pizza shop? No. No, they weren't. I have no reason to defend some random fucking pizza shop in Washington, D.C. Jesus Christ. These guys were in the emails literally being like, I would like a 14-year-old to sex traffic. And there are still people who are going, but what about the cheese pizza side? What about the Comet Pizzeria aspect of this? What about the QAnon aspect of this? Yeah, you're right, dude. It's actually fucking Tom Hanks that is sex trafficking minors to Hillary Clinton. I'm telling you, this is Brace's fault, Lamount. No, Brace doesn't fuck with this stuff either. That's what's so frustrating about it. Flesh Simulator is melting people's brains. Oh my God, it is that Flesh Simulator guy, isn't it? My issue is, especially in this day and age right now, when there's so much evidence that's readily available, people that are like hyper focusing on confirming their priors here are actually playing a role in the deflection. They're playing a role in pursuing avenues that are unproductive. Okay? They're pursuing they're going after They're going after the wrong thing. The real thing is right in front of you, and you're like, nah, all this stuff is whatever. It's too blatant for me. I have this endless desire to actually find different threads to untangle. Like, focus on the real shit, please. I think some of these guys are feds, but I don't think they're all feds. I think some of them are just duped. Confirmation bias, in my opinion, plays a big role in the way that people refuse to think critically about all this stuff. You know, people just want to confirm their own theories. And I know people will say that about me as well. They'll be like, oh, no, you were just like anti-Pizzagate, and that's the reason why you're just fucking continuously saying it's fake, it's phony. And not because I'm thinking critically about the likelihood of having this elite pedophilia ring operate from Comet Pizzeria or something versus operate at Jeffrey Epstein's island. It's just so strange. I don't know. I feel like it's purposely, if anything, if you want to see a conspiracy here, I think the conspiracy is that they are dropping, like, the initial Pizzagate conspiracy and the QAnon shit, like, they were all concocted at 4chan specifically so that when the real conspiracy comes out, you think the old fake shit that is going to lead you astray is the real shit. It's the same reason why I've always said Alex Jones is an op, is a federal government agent. Or if he wasn't a federal government agent, the federal government would have created an Alex Jones. A guy who actually says there's mass surveillance happening, a guy who says, you know, that they're going to start kidnapping people, right? And all this stuff. A guy who says, you know, they're making the frogs gay, who then turns around and says these guys are vampires, interdimensional space vampires. That basically makes normies think, oh, everything Alex Jones is saying is fake. No, everything Alex Jones is saying is not fake. There are real things that Alex Jones is actually dialed in on. Okay? But it has a tendency to discredit the real information because it's packaged in this like insane point. Obviously, Epstein wouldn't care if random loonies hated him. The point would have been to create a smokescreen around the issue to distract respectable outlets and dissuade people from taking the idea seriously, which is what happened. Whether or not he had anything to do with it, the obvious reason for an intelligence service or him to instigate Pizzagate QAnon was so that the concept of elite pedophile cabal would become immediately associated with fringe loonies and not the actual elite pedophile cabal. Exactly. That's it. And a lot of people don't understand that. Okay? A lot of people don't understand that. They think like, oh no, QAnon was actually on the, or QAnon was right. Okay, why are the QAnon conspiracists right now not dialed in on the Epstein stuff? Why are they not connecting Jeffrey Epstein to Donald Trump, even though Donald Trump has been mentioned in the files thousands of fucking times? Perhaps it's because QAnon is serving its fucking purpose, which is to disparage the real conspiracy with a metric ton of fake conspiracy theories, so that the ones who are supposed to be leading the calls for justice are too distracted and they're focusing on random shit like Tom Hanks being a cannibal. Okay? Nobody's distracted here. No distracted. You're distracted. We understand that. Nobody's distracted. Stop encouraging your chat to accept reality as is laid out for them. Wait, what? Questioning everything is a good thing, chat. Don't listen to him on this. Yes, questioning everything is good. And it is because I have questioned the veracity of QAnon and the veracity of Pizzagate. That is the reason why I've arrived at the position I've arrived at, which is that QAnon and Pizzagate are simple distractions from the real conspiracy that is unfolded. That's it. It's so frustrating to have to do this over and over again. Whatever. If you want to fucking believe Pizzagate is real, go ahead. I don't really care. I'm done. I'm done. Okay? You're right. Okay? Yeah, you got me. You have won the war of attrition. If you want to fucking keep believing that Pizzagate is real, then you can if you want to, but don't bring that shit in here, please. Controlled opposition? Yeah, okay. It's so crazy that this like moment of utter vindication, and I still have motherfuckers going, nah, there's something behind. There's something behind the curtain. I'm like, yeah, I'm showing you what's behind the curtain. And you're saying, no, there's something even behind the person behind the curtain.
Sense of male entitlement, that it's permissible for men to abuse women, I'm afraid to say, and for men not to be held accountable and certainly not suffer the career consequences that they perhaps should.
And just finally, tens of millions of people were watching when Epstein's survivors used the Super Bowl to ask for the truth. Maxwell used her platform for silence. I mean, what message do you think that sends?
I think the fact that Maxwell has used her platform for absolute silence and to attempt to evade justice through her lawyer suggesting that she would only speak if she were granted absolute immunity is just extraordinary. It's not holding her accountable. Who knows if we'll hold anybody else accountable. There's not going to be any meaningful change unless perpetrators are held accountable. No one will have any confidence in the criminal justice system, I think, after this, when we see millions of pages of evidence and zero arrests.
Charlotte Proudman, thank you very much for joining us.
Thank you.
Why did the Epstein files show you coordinated?
Yeah, now we're going to talk about Howard Butlick, who, is all over the Epstein files, obviously, and did lie to the public. Another person who lied to the public. I must say, as a Turk, I'm ashamed that you're my representation in American. Dog, your name is literally wife beater. The fuck do you mean? Who would you rather have as better representation than someone like myself? Also, you don't have to own it. You know what I mean? You can just be like, yeah, no, we have much better representation in Turkey. Mehmet Öz, is that what it is? Sorry, I'm not beating wives out here. Yeah, why haven't you launched a vengeance quest against the Armenians that live on U.S. soil in the same way that Dr. Oz is. You know? You really need chat for your next stand-up set. It'll go so well. What is this? Did you see Rick Scott's comments to your prior comments? What response to your prior comments?
Any person.
What the fuck? You're so dumb. Dude, he looks so shiny. I mean, look, if you want to believe lizard people are real, I can't really argue against that. Especially when Rick Scott exists, right? He is a feral ghoul for sure. That's a man whose veins run on the fumes of Medicare fraud if I've ever seen one. Yeah, he hasn't done one in a while. So he's like losing his life force, you notice? He's like, I need to do more Medicare fraud, otherwise I will die. Is lizard people an anti-Semitic trope? Can be, yeah. In many instances it is. I just mean like literally he looks like a lizard. Also, he's not Jewish. Many of the people that we're talking about here are wasps, okay? He just looks like a lizard. I mean, look at him, dude. What do you mean? Look at him. Sometimes the lizard person just looks like a lizard. In this case, that's the situation in front of us. He just has lizard-like features. The Les Wexner Epstein story never made sense, says Stephanie Rule, which, again, ridiculous, okay? But Dropsite News has done extensive reporting on this. The same year Wexner gave Epstein personal control over his vast fortune, Wexner formed the Study Group, a group of ultra-wealthy Jewish entrepreneurs who develop philanthropic initiatives to fund support for Israel. Meister's wife, Wendy, also introduced Leslie to Abigail Koppel, a young Israeli-American attorney, 25 years his junior. Epstein was named the trustee of Wexner's philanthropic foundation, and he supervised the drafting of Leslie and Abigail's prenuptial agreement before they were married in January 1993. Yeah. Jeffrey Epstein not only had a power of attorney over Les Wexner's entire fortune, but he also had complete command over Les Wexner's study group, which was a philanthropic initiative to fund, support for Israel charities, things like that in the United States of America. Yes, the guy from Victoria's Secret. Yes, Les Wexner is an Ohio native that is the founder of L Brands, which is and L Brands is like the umbrella corporation that owns Victoria's Secret and numerous other successful businesses.
Maxwell, is the president going to rule out a pardon for her? In her deposition yesterday, her legal team seemed to be making a case again for a pardon from the president.
Again, this is not something I've discussed with the president recently because, frankly, it's not a priority. He's focused on many of the issues that the American people are dealing with and providing solutions to those issues. So I haven't spoken with him recently. Last time we did speak about it, he said it's not something he's considering or thinking about. Go ahead, Bloomberg. Their loss.
On Ghislaine Maxwell.
He also owned Limited 2/Justice, which were for tween-age girls, and transferred those companies to Epstein's financial trust company. Yeah. You keep saying Victoria's Secret, L Brands own Limited 2 and Justice? Yes, yes. I'm just saying Victoria's Secret because it's the most famous one, chatter. Hello? You're trending in D.C., home of FBI headquarters? What? Not anymore, I'm not. The real place to look at is Israel, dude. That's what I always wonder. Let's look at worldwide first. Past 12 months. And the top places are Canada, United States, Ireland. Canada's number one more than the United States. That's crazy. Let's see. And then let's look at Israel. It's like all Shocktober. Tel Aviv district, Jerusalem district, Center district, Haifa district, North district. Go back to YouTube, you biatch. Bro, I'm never disparaging Canada again. They're my strongest warriors. Bloomington police announced the arrest in sex trafficking bust. Rashad Johnson out of Maple Grove. This is the most disturbing arrest that we've had here. He's a backgrounder for ICE, Homeland Security, and federal agencies. Oh, wow. This is the most shocking revelation of all time. Just in the past few months in Minnesota, there have been as many ICE employees arrested for sex trafficking as there have been people executed by ICE agents. Huh. Interesting. And for the people who are asking, how the hell did he pass a background check, which he had to have been to be hired by them? ICE is a kidnapping operation. Of course they want sex traffickers to work for ICE. Also, they don't really do any background checks anyway. So if they did, that wouldn't stop them from hiring this guy. They'd be like, oh, dude, we should actually elevate your position of prominence in the agency because let's be real, we really need a guy with your skills, okay? We need a guy with your skills for the job.
A meeting and planning a visit with Jeffrey Epstein on his private island in December 2012.
Thank you for the question. I'm glad to be here to make it clear that I met Jeffrey Epstein when I moved to a house next door to him in New York, right? And I met him then. Over the next 14 years, I met him 2 other times that I can recall, 2 times. And that is none for 6 years. So 6 years later, I met him, and then a year and a half after that, I met him, and never again. Probably the total.
Howard Nutlake is so compromised on the Epstein stuff. It's kind of crazy that he even has the audacity to lie about this shit. We know in broad daylight exactly how connected he is to Jeffrey Epstein. We've seen the emails of him being like, these are the children that are coming to your pedophile island, Mr. Pedophile. He also bought, like, he literally bought, I think he bought the fucking house. He bought a house from Jeffrey Epstein, if I'm not mistaken.
And you've seen all of these documents, of these millions and millions of documents. There may be 10 emails connecting me with him, probably about 10 emails connecting me with him over a 14-year period. I did not have any relationship with him. I barely had anything to do with that person, okay?
Secretary Lutnick, I think you understand the root of concern here. It's the way you described very emphatically your first encounter with him.
Bro, he lived next door to Jeffrey Epstein. He sold him a house for like nothing, and then he flipped it for like millions. Sketchy as fuck. Yeah. He lived next door to Jeffrey Epstein. Howard Lutnick, also a big yearner, big 9/11 recipient, let's say. 9/11 was a major boost to his financial profile. Every single person pretty much died in his financial business in the towers, and he was the one who made out like a fucking bandit. He successfully sued the airliners after 9/11, and then instead of distributing the funds, the trial awards that came from the successful litigation from the airliners, he literally distributed the funds by way of shareholder percentage, which meant he got the majority. Like, he got a massive chunk of the awards from the successful litigation. He fucked over everyone in his company and their family members. He robbed 9/11 victim families. Yes, the firm is called Cantor Fitzgerald. He's a crazy guy. I mean, I've talked about all this stuff too.
In his apartment, said you were disgusted, would never have any contact with him again. Did you, in fact, make the visit to Jeffrey Epstein's private island?
I did have lunch with him as I was on a boat going across on a family vacation. My wife was with me, as were my 4 children. And now,
Bros, that makes it worse. That doesn't make it better. That almost makes it seem like you were using your kids. You were using your kids as bait, bro, as pedo bait. You don't understand, sir. I was trafficking my own children and the children of my close friends to the international pedophilic sex trafficker. Why did you, in the email correspondence with Jeffrey Epstein, write out the ages of your children and your friends' children? Because he did. He did that. Think about how fucking insane that is. You know he's a pedophile, and you're like, hey, Mr. Pedophile, I would love to go to Pedophilia Island. I just must let you know ahead of time, I will have young children with me. Here are their ages. Not only my own personal children, but the children of my, immediate friends as well. And here are their fucking ages, dude. We're landing in St. Thomas early Saturday afternoon, planning to head over to St. Bart's and Gia on Monday at some point. Where are you located? What is the exact location for my captain? The Sunday evening for dinner sound good. I have another couple, Michael and Marcy Lerman, with me on my boat. And each of us have 4 children, 2 16s, 2 14s, a 13, a 12, an 11, and a 7-year-old. Thanks, Howard. This shit was worthless. What you really should be looking for is pizza toppings, not like wanted. Yeah, I know. I'm noticing that he didn't mention pizza in this email, so I think we should just cast this aside as irrelevant, right? What do you guys think? I think there's no pizza references in this, so it's probably irrelevant. Fuck it. Let's move on, you know?
I had another couple.
Any mention of furniture names? Yeah, he doesn't mention Wayfair. So obviously this is not that significant. This doesn't play a significant role in the conspiracy.
They were there as well with their children, and we had lunch on the island. That is true, for an hour, and we left with all of my children, with my nannies and my wife, all together. We were on family vacation. We were not apart. To suggest there was anything untoward about that in 2012, I don't recall why we did it, but
Mr. Secretary, again, as I said, there's not an indication that you yourself engaged in any wrongdoing with Jeffrey Epstein. It's the fact that you...
It's like, you're protesting a bit too much there, butt lick.
Believe that you misled the country and the Congress based on your earlier statements, suggesting that you'd cut off all contact when in fact you had not. When you visited the private island, did you see anything inappropriate during that visit?
the only thing I saw with my wife and my children and the other couple and their children was staff who worked for Mr. Epstein on that island.
And you realize that, you know, this visit took place after he'd been convicted, right? I mean, you made a very big point of saying that you sensed that this was a bad person in 2005. And then, of course, in 2008, he was convicted of soliciting prostitution of a minor. And yet you went and had this trip and other interactions. Did you have a dinner in Epstein's New York City home in 2011?
No.
So the information that suggests that there was a dinner with Woody Allen and Woody Allen's spouse at the Epstein residence, there's nothing to that. Is that right?
I actually don't know what you're referring to. There was, look, I looked through the millions of documents for my name, just like everybody else. And what I found was
Everybody
there was a
else.
document
No,
that
dog.
says that I had
No,
a
I don't think
meeting
everybody
with him
else did that.
on
I don't, like me, for example, when the Epstein files came out, I wasn't like, oh shit, how compromised am I? Okay. Like, no, I'm pretty sure everybody that you know probably did that, but that's more so a damning indictment of who you run around with. I literally don't know a single person who was like, wait a minute, how bad is it for me? Like, come on, who amongst us, Congress member, hasn't immediately fucking panic Googled their name and the Epstein files? Everybody I know, all the fucking vampire, pedophilic vampires I know, they all did it. It's a big club.
in May, I think, for an hour for
Unintentional clip, though. I don't know. My comments would cause that much of a spike in cortisol. What? Yeah. Howard Lutnick, by the way, is having a cortisol spike right here where he's like, come on, everyone Googled themselves in the Epstein files.
5 o'clock.
Okay.
Not dinner or otherwise, for an hour at 5 o'clock.
All right. There's also a reference to the fact that Epstein had expressed an interest in meeting your nanny. Do you know whether Jeffrey Epstein ever met with your nanny?
No, I saw that. I had no idea what that was about. It had nothing to do with me.
I don't believe him at all, by the way, especially here. I think, given his track record so far of consistently lying about the relationship that he had, the extent of the relationship that he had with Jeffrey Epstein, there is no reason to fucking believe him here, okay? Especially considering that lying under oath in a congressional hearing offers zero accountability and zero punishments. We know this because Kash Patel, the director of the FBI, literally went in front of a congressional hearing and lied his goddamn face off. A fact that Thomas Massie and Ro Khanna keep repeating now over and over again with the hopes that like maybe there can be some sort of impeachment or some sort of like indictment. Because he went in front of Congress, Kash Patel went in front of Congress, the least trustworthy man in America, and straight up said, oh, there's no co-conspirators. Oh, it's all, everyone's making shit up. Everyone is just making a lot of hay over nothing. A mountain out of a molehill, okay? Guys, please stop looking into the Epstein files. I looked at it, okay? I scouted it. I looked at it. I saw nothing, okay? Your Honor, everyone's innocent. No co-conspirators at all. Really interesting, because we now know that was 100% a fucking lie.
No interaction at all with him on that.
No, as far as I know, no.
Would you, Mr. Secretary, be willing to ensure that the file is complete to share with this committee and the Congress your own records, any records you have that relate to Jeffrey Epstein?
I will surely talk about that. I hadn't thought about that. I have nothing to hide. Absolutely nothing.
Yeah, I don't think so. I don't think so. I have nothing to hide. Really? Kind of feels like you acted like you had nothing to hide beforehand, and then it showed that you objectively have a lot to hide. And we just have to keep like clawing this information out of you with new revelations. This is funny. The peasants protecting their king. Nutlig obviously has no relation to the accursed Jeffrey. Yeah, no, none whatsoever. Yeah, there's no files at all. It's just what's a file? I'm illiterate. I don't even know how to correspond with people like that. I can't type, Your Honor. I have nothing to hide. Guy who is hiding a lot. Yeah. Patel must be low IQ. No way someone with a higher IQ with a history like him wanting the files to be exposed would make such an obvious lie. No, dude. Well, first of all, he's not the most intelligent guy at all. We know that to be true. Having said that, however, the primary directive for guys like Kash Patel is to defend Trump unconditionally. He's playing out their role, which is part of the reason why he hasn't been fired yet, right? Even if that makes him look like a fucking moron in broad daylight, it doesn't matter because he's still playing the role he is supposed to be playing, which is to defend Donald Trump. Loyalty over all.
Charles, how long have you known about Andrew and Epstein? Have you?
Look at this fucking gammon, dude. Shut up! It's the bloody king, you fucking bastard. Let him do a little bit of pedophilia. Let the prince do pedophilia, you fucking wanker. My lordship's good reputation must not be tarnished. It's his divine fucking right, you bastard.
Have you been protecting Andrew from prosecution?